Hi guys. Okay, so this is gonna be my live for all my people that are afraid to face fear. This is my talk on fear. Impromptu, but I thought it would be helpful. Okay. I recently had someone call me and tell me that she got caught on to her narratives and that she went from friend zone to dating her person, and how it dawned on her all of a sudden that it was her narratives and that she studied non-duality to the degree that she figured herself out. And I really, really, really appreciated the fact that she stopped to say that to me, because I spend a lot of time trying to tell you that it's your story. It's your story. It's your story. This is how you discover who you are. And so in that moment, it was super, super cool to hear. Okay. So when I talk to you about facing your fears, when I talk to you about being present, when I talk to you about understanding reality, it's about when people say don't react, I guess is what I want to say. It's about understanding why you're not reacting. It's about looking at reality head on. It's about being present. A lot of times what is happening is we're afraid to face what is happening. It has been solidified, we don't like it, whatever the case may be. So we're afraid to face what is happening. And that is the reason for our suffering. Or this is the reason for our autopilot behaviors. Because we have adopted a certain set of beliefs, a certain set of protective, whatever, safety measures, whatever the case may be. We may be living in the past, we may be living in the anxiety of the future. Usually if you're stuck in resentment, you are stuck in the past, and if you're stuck in anxiety, you are worrying about the future. In both cases, you are dealing with imaginary narratives that do not even exist yet, that you are choosing. So a tip that I want to give you is to look at 3D, not bypass it. To look at it with a so what kind of attitude. Look at it like, in the sense, if everything is me, everything is my story, let me face this head on. What do I think I'm seeing? What is my narrative trying to tell me? And instead of saying, this is bad, this is not what I want, this is whatever you're saying, whatever, instead of judging it, looking at it head on without judging it, and looking at it with sort of the detachment you would as a scientist, someone who observes things, and is trying to figure out cause and effect, end result, but you kind of have a detachment. You're trying to look at what's going on so that you can see through your narratives. Now, the reason this is so important is because it is not what is happening that matters, but what you do with it that counts. So it's the willingness to face something. So in this case, for example, let's say you're in a situation that is unpleasant as a relationship. Say you're in an unpleasant relationship. You're unhappy. Your desire for a healthy union is overpowering. Okay? Being able to look at your narrative and say, these are the things that I will not accept. These are the things that I will accept. And living from here and daring to choose yourself is how the adversity serves you. Your goal, and I say this as women, men and women can do this too, but as women, this is what we do, is we turn adversity and pain into gold. So you can't be afraid to face this. You can't bypass this with your little narratives and not look, because you'll always be blindsided by reality otherwise. It is in owning the reality. It is in looking at it head on, in owning the narrative that allows you to change it. But the places where you are stuck are the places where you hold resentment, where the narrative is too strong, where you must be willing to take an honest look at yourself without judgment. You can't get into the blame game. You can't get into the whole, well, I'm going to get mad at myself because I didn't know what I didn't know. This makes no sense. That's not what it's about. And it's about also leaving behind the human side where we're tempted to blame what has happened to ourselves on others because we're victim to it. We're not victim to it. When you take a higher level understanding, you will understand that what has occurred is that you have disassociated from your narrative. So now you feel as if you are victim to it. But the way out of this type of situation occurs when you are willing to look at it honestly and see what is being shown without judgment and use it for something that you can turn into something else. Because like I said, it is not what has happened, it's what you make of it that counts. When you understand that, when you become present, when you look at what you're afraid to look at, that's when fear loses its charge. So for example, a lot of the times what you're afraid to look at is happening right now. If you have a relationship that is unhappy and you're not content with it, and you really want to change it, and you're trying your damnedest to change it, but you're afraid to face it, and so your fear keeps you from speaking up, from being your authentic true self, then fear wins. This is a missing of the mark. If, however, you look at it objectively and you understand that everything is temporarily showing up, hardened into facts to show you the inner workings of your mind, the things you cannot see, other perspectives. Now, nothing in your world is a point of contention. Nothing. Even the things you're afraid to face. Because the truth is, if you're in a relationship where you're unhappy because you're not treated the way you want, what you must do is put your foot down, call out the things that you no longer wish to accept, and live by that, so that you can discover that by moving and deciding to live for yourself, you are actually going to be demonstrating how to be chosen, because the reality now must reflect back what you are doing. You are the one that has to discover you are the source image. You are the one that has to figure out this right here, what I see out there is pointing in here. You are the one that has to look at that and be like, I am the source of that. And if I can own that without fear, I can transcend it. But there's no getting through to the other side without honestly looking at it. This is the way of a warrior. This is the person who has understood their shadow and is willing to look at it with love and transcend it with acceptance. When you do that, you no longer serve as the veil. Your narratives no longer have power over you. You have power over your narratives. Reason that's so important. Biblical. In the beginning was the Word. In the beginning is your narratives. If you come back to the beginning of your narratives, you now have control of your outer illusion. Your ability to react and respond, to demonstrate, to show up differently, to be unapologetically yourself, has been activated. You will never apologize for anything. Your self-expression comes out. You're unafraid and unapologetically yourself. That is a very powerful, powerful force, because when you activate this, one look from you, One word from you can destroy people's lives. Crazy as it sounds, yeah. You can also uplift people's lives. But you'll understand this. You will always strive to uplift because the illusion of people, you've transcended that and you've understood everything is you. And now that you know how to love you, you can love others and be on the receiving end of that. You transcend all sense of fear. Every human being, before they realize that they are God, before they realize they are the source, before they understand they're the universe, has a ring of fear around them that has been created in childhood, and you must transcend these deeply rooted patterns. Because once you do that, the world is yours. The understanding of your world is yours. You live differently. You understand your power. You're very careful with it. You're very kind. You're very loving. You're no longer afraid of anything that is occurring because you understand how reality is made. You understand how you can change it. It's a very different way of living. And it means that once you've faced your fear, once the charge has lost, you are freed from your 3D construct. And you can enter any other 3D construct you want because you understand that everything already exists. So you can have a so what attitude to what is going on. You can do what's counterintuitive. And for many of you, that requires putting your foot down and saying, no more accepting of this type of treatment. And you're afraid to do so because you're afraid to lose that person, and that is why you are losing yourself and not them. But it will look like you're losing them because the relationship is with yourself. You are here to master that. When you do, you will understand the entire universe. You'll move like a goddess. Because you are. You always have been. You'll move like a god. Because you are. You always have been. You'll show up differently in the world for yourself and for everybody else. You'll take on a cosmic understanding of your own being. Very different way of living. Most important job you will ever do is heal yourself, is understand yourself, is understand that self is not this body. This is a tool that you use to interact within your mind, to understand yourself as the universe. It is imaginary, and it is a miracle that you make out of your story. You build a wall of flesh, and you animate the entire thing with your spirit. And when you understand that, life is different. What this allows you to do is when 3D shows up in a scary way, when 3D shows up as your worst nightmare, you're allowed to be the boss of that. It no longer scares you. When you remove the fear, you live like a god or a goddess. You understand your power. You're unlimited now. You've released the shackles. Your pain has become your armor. It shines like a diamond. It is impenetrable like a diamond. Your faith can then make miracles. Your faith will then do the types of things that will shock you. Like extend someone's life when they're on their deathbed. Resurrect people out of the dead. will cause simultaneous pregnancies, even though the doctor said that you couldn't. Will cause the love of your life to suddenly call you out of nowhere after a year of no contact. Will cause your marriage to improve. Will cause your relationship with the entire universe to improve. You move different when you understand who you are as the whole thing. This healing that occurs is your responsibility. You owe it to yourself, and when you do this, you change the whole universe. But you can't be afraid of your creation, because the Creator is not afraid. Ever. The Creator understands who, what is being shown. And with their sense of knowing, alters everything. You develop so much force that you can walk in a room and suddenly everybody's happy. You exude peace so that when people feel uncomfortable, they think of you and they're drawn to you because of your peace. It's life on another level, but until you experience it, it's not understood. You can't do this afraid, so it requires you going into your fear and facing it. If worst case scenario is happening right now, bypassing is not going to help you. It's getting through to the other side by remembering that you are there specifically to fix this. Your life is like a 3D dream. You are there to wake up in the dream, understand it's a dream, and then enjoy the process because it's set up for you. But once you heal, you remove the obstacles. Everyone else executes. You enjoy your experiences. You are free to have healthy relationships. Your attraction to each other will be healthy. Your attraction to anything will be healthy. But you can't be afraid to face what is. If you look at it like, okay, everything is a temporary moment. I am looking at my past construct. I'm not afraid. These are the things that I don't like. I need to develop an ability to convey my needs without a fight, without an argument, and with determination. I will agree to move away from this. If you can transcend that fear, you'll get to the other side where this person that you're trying to manifest will move with you and show up as the healed version of you. You must detach from what you no longer want. And that goes against your instincts because you want to hold on. And yet I told you the world is not outside of you, it's in here. So you're working on in here fearlessly. And then 3D checks you. That's how it works. That's how it works. That's how it works. That's how it works. That's the shortcut. You don't have to do affirmations. You don't have to do anything. You need to be still and know. Take a higher level perspective. Not be afraid of what's being shown. Appreciate when people show you things that you need to work on. See them better. Work on yourself. Fearlessly face it. If it requires you walking away, if it requires you putting your foot down, do it. 3D will then respond accordingly. But you have to understand when you move, they move. When When you move, they move. Your movement is in here. Your work is in here. Then 3D shows up to confirm your inner state. It's a mirror. Reverse engineer what you're doing. Fearlessly. You have to be willing to do what you're afraid of doing in order to transcend it. But if you do these things, I promise you, you will see how everything is you. When you realize that everything is a narrative, you'll understand how crazy it is to fear anything. It's silly. It really is. But you'll laugh at it. You have to get to the other side to laugh at it and see. But it does help. And this doesn't apply just to romantic relationships. It applies to everything. You'll understand everything is your mirror. When you do that, when you transcend that, you will see and understand the world totally differently. You will discover the world within. And now your focus will go there. And the magnification of that will change how you see. You're expanding your own light. Okay. Love you guys. Think about what I'm saying. Remember, everything is temporary. Temporary. You can change it. You can change it if you can look at it fearlessly. If you can catch up with the present. That's going to help. Big time. Your thoughts are temporary. Even if they've been solidified, it is not impossible to change. It is not. Things can turn on a dime. And here's the thing. Do not judge the things that are happening that get you there. Don't say this is the opposite of what I want. It may be. But look at it. Why is it happening this way? Do you have to go through that to get to the other side? Look at it objectively. Be present. Because your desired state is in the present. You got to be willing to walk through your valley or shadow of death, armed with your truth. When you do that, reality will flip. Reality will flip. Reality will flip. You'll see how easily you enter the 3D experience. I hope that helps. I really hope that helps. I'm trying to work with fear. I don't know how else to do it. You know, we all kind of have hidden fears, and if we're willing to look at them for what they are, just narratives, you'll get through the experience. If you guys can do one other thing, any hardships that you may have had, any unforgiven things, if your understanding of it can be turned into gold, you will realize something very important. Everybody goes through the same exact things. And that your struggle you're not alone. And the reason that you placed yourself in these situations was to develop your character, to develop your understanding of yourself, so that you use the experience as the catalyst to show you who you are. And then that turns into gold. That is your wisdom. But you will discover that the self is nothing more than your memories made into patterns to look like other bodies. If you develop and have a partnership, and you can look at your partner, if you already have a relationship, like the sacred mirror they are supposed to be, it will open the door to the entire universe. You must be willing to look at yourself through your partner's eyes. Back and forth you will go in the mirror until the entire universe makes sense. It's a key to enlightenment. It can be. Enlightenment can occur through a love relationship, through a love partnership. And the way that it's done is that way. However, if you are still afraid to look at yourself, you are going to be triggered left and right by your partner. And that is why you're there to fix it. Here's the thing. Your triggers go with you. Your problems, your conception of things go with you. Whatever you don't resolve goes with you. So I don't care who's reflected back here. I don't care who shows up to show you this. In other words, you are the constant, and so it doesn't matter who you choose. All the bodies will show up as you are. You have to be okay with that in order for the triggers to be worked through. You can't walk into this union afraid. You cannot be afraid to be yourself. You cannot censor yourself for the sake of peace. What you will do, however, is speak very kind and respectfully to your reflection, no matter what is happening, because it is you. When the way that you are comes back, you will be on the receiving end of a healthy and balanced union. No matter who you interact with. What's true of your partner is true of your child, is true of your mother, is true of the stranger, is true of the neighbor, is true of the coworker. They're all mirrors. This is how you see into your multidimensional nature. You cannot be afraid to face this. Once you face this, you can get through it to the other side. And sometimes it will require for you to do the scary things. For example, if you've accepted less than you deserve, if you've accepted being the other woman, if you've accepted, not hearing from them, if you've accepted a situationship, if you've accepted any of these things and you are genuinely unhappy, it means looking at yourself and saying, I'm unhappy right now. This is not what I wanted. So it means getting real clear about what you do want, voicing it, and if it requires walking away, then it requires walking away. What you learn by doing this is you develop a faith in who you are, in your acceptance, in your understanding. You develop the value in that. You realize that you should not be accepting lesser treatment. You really do stand in that conviction. And you learn from this experience that by walking away like this, you face your fear of losing someone because you walk into the loss. You walk into the loss, not away. Not trying to prevent it, not trying to do anything. You walk into the loss. So you solve the problem by doing what you're afraid of. This is easier said than done because it's scary. You don't want to lose that person, so walking into the loss is scary. I understand. However, do you see how you take control of the whole thing when you walk into what you're afraid of because this is what you're resistant to? So if you walk into the loss, you now have control of the whole thing. And your next move, your narrative, helps you go to the next step. If you don't take control of this narrative, you stay right here where you're accepting lesser treatment and you remain unhappy because you're afraid to lose. And you can stay here for as long as you want. No one's judging you. But if this is what's causing your suffering, do you see how facing this and taking control of this and walking into it will help you? You face your fear by doing what you're afraid of. Now, what happens on the other side of that? When you walk away, you leave room for a few things. You've just said, I'm not going to accept lesser treatment. To be with me, this is what's required. This is my standard. Here's where I'm going to be. And if it means losing you because I'm choosing to be happy rather than choosing to be unhappy where I'm at, then so be it. You have just disarmed your ego's tool against you. Now it can't be used against you. You're not afraid anymore. You faced it. Okay? Now what happens next is beautiful. Because either the person realized everything they had because you realized everything you are, so now they must reflect that. Or this tithe gets recycled because, say for example, your narratives or whatever, you really just want someone new. It doesn't really matter. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Whatever you want. That narrative will now get recycled. You have learned what you needed to learn. You have done what you've needed to do. You have chosen yourself, and now you have made room for something better to come in. You have overcome the obstacle using your fear by stepping into your fear and doing what you're afraid of to get to the other side. Because here's the thing, your fear is the shortcut. That's why you want to be a warrior. You want to face your stuff. Your fear is the shortcut. Now, if you can do that, you will find that you suffer a lot less because you're not resisting anymore. You are surrendering to what is. You are doing what you need to do to choose you. And by choosing you, this is how you are chosen. You will enter a new world where a new caliber of people, including your SP, will be in that mix, will show up as you are now being. You can't get to this side until you're willing to do that. If you were unhealthy and you wanted health, and you believe and you secretly are fearful that you'll never get better, then you must face that unapologetically with the truth. Your body is your narrative. You can change your narrative, you can heal. It's a story. If you can look at that head on, you can heal. But you have to be willing to look at it rather than say, I hate my body. Start telling your body, I love you. I'm so sorry I've neglected you. I know you're designed to heal. I know you were designed perfectly. I'm sorry. I just realized that I unconsciously believed I couldn't heal, so I didn't let you heal. I'm the one that didn't let you heal. Take responsibility. You're afraid to take responsibility. Take responsibility instead. I'm sorry that I ignored you. I'm sorry. I know that you feel better now. I'm allowing you to heal. I'm taking responsibility for what I was too afraid to look at before. When you face what you're afraid of, do what you're afraid to do, this gets you to the other side. This ends the suffering. You choose how much suffering you're allowing. And that is a very powerful statement because it's always been you. You're deciding what things mean, and if you are attached to a suffering standpoint, that will be what you receive. But in love and in everything else, the more you learn to choose yourself, the more you will be chosen. you can then experience and enter the states in which you have to start behaving according to, you have to be in the state. Your actions have to align. You have to be not afraid to do the things that have kept you stuck. And the reason this works, so the last thing I'm going to say, because I know I've talked too much, I can't help it. This means so much to me if you understand it. The reason this works, this leaning into instead of away from or avoiding, is because I told you, your eyes are mirrors. They reflect back what's inside. When you lose the attachment to away from it, you're walking away from yourself. You are rejecting yourself. So you're rejecting your narrative. So now you're walking away. The narrative must reject you. When you lean into it, you own it. You now realize what you came to fix. This is how you discover who you are. This is how these things serve you. This is how you turn it into gold. And this is how you achieve the love that you are seeking. Because you are now emitting it. You are not seeking it from others. You are emitting it. So others want to be around this. You have to be okay with you. Okay? Here is the shortcut. All right. I didn't mean to talk so long. I hope this helps. Thank you guys. I'm going to continue packing, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.